all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles? I want you to look at what happened when the National Guard...
I think he meant to say, let's start attacking pedophiles.
I hope so.
I think that's what he meant, dude.
...went to D.C. Robbery...
Welcome to another episode of Intellectual Dummies. We got This Week in Politics. It's October 10th, 2025. I'm your host, Lucas. This is my co-host, Paul.
What up?
And we got a lot to get to this week. A lot's been going on. So,
all right. So first, we're going to start with some Senate hearings about the crime in D.C.
Okay.
A couple clips of that to start with. So let's get right to it.
Let's get into it.
Then after that, we get Pam Bondi had to go before Congress because the Democrats are pissed that they're trying to subpoena Comey.
Okay.
So, the Democrats are questioning her about, Trump's abuse of power and bullshit. So let's get to it. So we're starting off where they're asking this one guy, you'll see, he's part of this, defund the police, blah, blah, blah.
Being here. Mr. Cook, I want to say thank you, especially to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for telling your story. And I'm sorry for what you and your family have had to endure. And it's powerful to have you here today. Thank you very much. I want to talk about some of these policies that have gotten to where we are today. Mr. Jackson, if I could just start with you. You were deputy director in the Biden White House for gun violence and a special assistant to the president. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're also affiliated with the Community Justice Action Fund. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm also a survivor of gun violence.
You were their executive director. When was that? The Community Justice Action.
What, Lucas?
Nothing.
I heard you snicker. Too funny.
2021 to 2023.
And you're affiliated with them now?
Yes, as executive advisor.
Okay. The Community Justice Action Fund is. Do you disclose your donors?
Yes.
All of the donors are public?
Yes.
You're funded by the Tides Advocacy Group, among others?
They're a fiscal sponsor.
This is right.
They handle our HR.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a George Soros funded group.
No.
He's one of the donors.
No.
He's a donor to the Tides Advocacy Group.
Yeah, that's our fiscal sponsor. So they handle our HR, our back office, our operations.
Great. Okay. Great. So in other words,
we're one of 300 organizations.
Right. That they run. You are a subset of them.
Pay them to be a fiscal sponsor.
Well, you are a subset of that organization, which he helps to fund. Right. Okay. All right. Just wanted to get a level set here. So I want to ask you about some of the policies that you've advocated because they're exactly what we see implemented in these blue cities, like defunding the police.
No.
Oh, indeed.
He goes, yes, no.
That's not. We advocated for.
Wait, I haven't asked a question yet. We'll get to. I've got a lot of questions. Believe me, and I'll give you time. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this report that you issued when you were executive director, a policymaker's playbook. And I'll ask you to enter it into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Great.
Without objection.
Thank you. In this report, you advocate, and I quote now, defunding the police because the long-term goal is fundamentally to reimagine how the state serves its citizens in the project of public safety. You go on to say police departments traumatize residents through a destructive cycle of racist over-policing. And the answer is not to add any more money to police budgets. Talk to me about, I mean, why is it that denying policing to the most vulnerable communities is a solution? I know that's what the blue cities are doing, but why is that a good idea?
Well, look, I in no way stand with defunding law enforcement. I mean,
That's what your report says.
Sheriff Mike Sheridan, who taught me how to drive when I was 16 years old.
Wait. Your report, when
And,
your executive director said you wanted to defund the police, do you renounce this report? Mr. Jackson, do you renounce the report that you authored as executive director? Here it is.
You're the second senator to bring up an op-ed or
this isn't an op-ed. This is your report, a policymaker's playbook to reduce gun violence without policing communities.
Okay.
Community Justice Action Fund, copyright 2023, when you were executive director. Now you say you don't know anything about it. Now you say that you haven't heard of it, just like the Democrats who all of a sudden say, oh, we're all for the police. They've been advocating defunding them for years.
Okay, well, you can look at documents or you can look at
My
results.
question is, do you renounce this report now? You say you no longer agree with this.
And my answer is that I led the efforts to invest $42 billion in law enforcement.
You've advocated defunding the police as executive director of an organization that you still lead and are affiliated with.
Never see me advocate for that directly. What you see me advocate for is a comprehensive approach to reducing violence.
Right. The comprehensive approach is defunding the police, which is what this says.
The entire time.
This is so typical of what the Democrats do now. After your policies have transparently failed and led to the deaths of millions of Americans, now you say you've never heard of defunding the police. Your own report recommends it on page after page after page. Let me ask you about something else you say. Here's what you say we ought to invest in. Instead of funding the police, here's what we ought to invest in. We need to invest in programs that acknowledge the need for safe space initiatives led by lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender nonconforming people. What's two-spirit?
Well, look, I don't know exactly. You guys are pulling some interesting quotes.
This is from your report.
If you look at the report, the focus is on investing in violence intervention, outreach workers.
What is you say that you shouldn't invest in the police, but we ought to invest in two-spirit community programs that acknowledge two-spirit.
Look, we are not going to discriminate against that. We're not going to discriminate against any nonprofit.
What is a two-spirit? What is two-spirit? You say don't fund the police, but do fund programs that create safe spaces for two-spirit people. What is? I just want to know. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
Well, I honestly, I'm not completely aware of the language or
you wrote the report.
But what I'm telling you,
this is this guy's report that he wrote.
Yeah, he authored it while he was leading the organization, and I guess he didn't fucking read it.
Yeah,
You
know what? He probably didn't. He probably just signed off on it.
He probably did. I mean, I'm not familiar with this language. It's like you just say you don't know what two-spirit is. It's okay to say
What's that?
I said it's okay to say you just don't know.
Yeah, be like, hey, you know what? I signed off on this. I didn't know that they put that.
Two-spirit individual. I mean, really, this is your policymaker's playbook. You are the witness called by the Democrats on this committee, so I assume you reflect their views. Well, you don't want to fund the police. You want to fund safe spaces for two-spirit individuals. What is a two-spirit person?
I feel like I'm looking at a two-faced individual because you talk about reducing
no, sir.
violence.
You're looking at somebody who's reading you your own words, and I'd like to hear an answer.
Programs.
Here's the answer. The answer is you don't have any solutions. You want to invest in gobbledygook and take away money from police officers who actually keep our communities safe. And when you're called on the record, you deny it. It's all there in black and white. And your record is there in black and white, and it's a disgrace.
We reduced homicides by 31%. And as someone who's been shot and nearly killed, I take offense that you would think that the last 13 years
you don't answer my
we're
questions,
not focused on
that you
reducing
deny
violence.
your own words, and that you are leading this committee astray. And frankly, sir, your policies are absurd. They're absurd.
I don't think we're getting any place. So let's.
Mr. Pemberton, I thank you for your service.
So, yeah, I mean, he just read his own words to him, and the guy couldn't even stand up for it.
Now, this is in D.C., right?
Yes.
I'm just curious because I'm pretty sure we looked up some statistics last time, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. Or not the last time, but one of these episodes when we went over this.
Yeah, when we went over the DC crime statistics, how they were redefining certain crimes.
Yes. What was it? Possession without right to
Yeah,
own
something
or
like
something
that.
like yeah.
Something stupid. Hold on. I want to check to see if what he said about reducing homicide by 30% is true.
Yeah, like we just said, they probably did it because they changed the wording. Now it's like, oh, homicides reduced by 30%.
Yeah.
That wasn't a homicide. That was they didn't have the right to take that soul. And yeah.
Okay, so see, this is a perfect example of statistics don't lie, but liars use statistics, right? So 2023, there was 272 homicides, right? 2024, there was 187. I'm not quick math. That seems about a third, right? But let's 2015, 160. 2016, 136. 2017, 116. 2018, 160. 19, 164. 2020, 195. 2021, 224. 2022, 200. 2023, 272. Then 187. You know, I see a gradual incline in that an incline going up in homicide rates. I don't know. You know, yeah, a reduction if you only measure it by 1 year,
Yes, exactly.
which is not what's the word? He's a fucking liar. That's the word.
This is one where they're still questioning that same guy. And his wording, of course.
I just want to ask you, could you just walk through, because the numbers don't lie. In the District of Columbia, there's been a reduction of 53% in homicides, 57% in robberies, 75% in carjackings. What lessons can be learned sort of at scale in DC and places like Kansas City, for example, that has a high crime rate and a sort of a apologist mayor and a prosecutor that doesn't want to prosecute violent criminals?
That's an excellent point. And what our organization has been shouting for the past 5 years, since I mentioned that the rhetoric and the policy changed back in 2020, is that you need to have the proper number of police officers, and they need to be able to have the tools and resources to go out into these.
What crimes did he say? Robbery?
Let's take a listen again.
You need to have the proper number of police officers, and they need to be able to have the tools and resources to go out into these communities. And
I don't think I got it all the way. Hold on.
And what our organization has been shouting for the past 5 years, since I mentioned that the rhetoric and the policy changed back in 2020, is that you need to have the proper number of police officers, and they need to be able to have the tools and resources to go out into these communities.
Are we talking about this guy's answer or the question?
No, he said with the reduction in, and then he named a bunch of crimes. And I mean, we know the homicide rates are going, are a positive slope up, but whatever. I mean, if anyone listening wants to check out the last episode we did on DC crime, we fact checked a bunch of the crimes in real time, and what they say is more often than not bullshit.
What lessons can be learned sort of at scale in DC and places like Kansas City, for example, that has a high crime rate and a sort of a apologist mayor and a prosecutor that doesn't want to prosecute violent criminals?
That's an excellent point. And what our organization has been shouting for the past 5 years, since I mentioned that the rhetoric and the policy changed back in 2020, is that you need to have the proper number of police officers, and they need to be able to have the tools and resources to go out into these communities and do their job professionally, responsibly, constitutionally. And if you do that, and you have a prosecutor that backs those officers, like we now do here in the District of Columbia, guess what? You can reduce crime in 7 days. That's what we saw in the District of Columbia. We saw federal agents surge in. We saw the National Guard taking posts in these neighborhoods. And we saw a prosecutor who took all of our arrests seriously. And within the first week, there was a remarkable night and day difference.
And a morale boost, I'm sure, for your officers too, right? When there's actually a police presence and prosecutions. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I also want to, Mr. Jackson, you're listed as the former deputy director of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, but you previously served as the executive director of the Community Justice Action Fund and now serve as the organization's executive advisor. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were the executive director until 2023. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to just read some past statements from the Community Justice Action Fund. I'm just going to refer to as CJAF. In 2019, an op-ed, CJAF founder and another senior advisor stated the following, quote, "It is this critical moment. We're finally saying firmly that we must divest in policing," end quote. In 2020 letter, CJAF stated, "We must divest from aggressive policing." Further stated, public health approaches must be prioritized over policing to end gun violence, and that a, quote, "an anti-racist approach must always be a part of policymaking and advocacy on gun violence prevention." We all know what happened. Those were statements in 2019 and 2020. We all know what happened in the summer of love of 2020, where you had record high violent crime rates, including gun crimes, and gutted police departments. Does CJAF still support divesting and defunding policing?
Community justice supports the public health approach to gun violence and recognizes that law enforcement is an important part of that ecosystem. And I will note, as deputy director, we invested $42 billion into public safety, made some of the largest investments in law enforcement in American history. And this administration and this Republican leadership is actually proposing and making the largest defunding of law enforcement in American history today.
But you don't deny that the organization said that we must divest in policing.
Yeah, they keep saying that they're defunding the police, but that's just total bullshit.
I feel like I don't even have to look that up. That's just retarded.
Yeah. No, but I've heard it on a couple of like liberal pages that I've scrolled through. They're like, "Oh, this is the Republicans defunding the police. Look at the funds they took away from this." But all it is just like cutting waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yeah.
I can't speak to an op-ed before I was there.
Okay.
So.
Okay. In 2019, CJAF also said that every legislator that openly calls for mass deportations is enabling a mass radicalization of white individuals that are now emboldened to commit murder. Does CJAF stand by that statement?
I can't speak to that statement.
Do you believe that?
Can you reframe this?
Sure. That any legislator that openly calls for mass deportations is enabling a, quote, mass radicalization of white individuals that are now emboldened to commit murder.
I can't stand what a statement I didn't write, and I don't quite understand.
But do you agree with that?
I don't quite understand what you're.
I just read you a statement. I'm asking you, do you agree with that statement or not?
No, I don't agree with that statement.
Thank you. CJAF also identified ICE as pushing a white nationalist agenda. Quote, "This white nationalist agenda is used by the deportation force of ICE in CBP to lock up black and brown immigrants across the country. It lives through the courts and police departments that lock up and kill black and brown bodies." Does CJF stand by that statement?
I can't speak to that.
Do you believe that that's true?
Can you? What is your reference to this?
This is a quote. This is a CJF identified in that same letter that I referenced earlier in 2020. That effectively ICE was a white nationalist organization that was trying to lock up and kill black and brown bodies.
Well, again, I can't speak to something that was written before.
Do you believe that?
Again, I can't speak to that statement.
So you agree with that or you don't agree with that?
For one, America doesn't have a race, and neither do illegals. Illegals aren't a particular race. I mean, everybody, or probably at least conservatives, have seen the video of that journalist that went down to the border and he just went down the line and asked everybody what country they're from. And it wasn't just Mexico.
Oh yeah, I know.
It was China. It was Ukraine. It was, the stands, Turkmenistan. I mean,
Mhm.
you name the country, it was probably named.
Yeah.
Being illegal isn't a race. America isn't a race.
Yeah, I agree.
These people are race baiting hard.
That's it.
Can't
Do you think
speak to
ISIS'
that.
mission is white nationalist in nature and its intention is to kill black and brown people?
No.
Okay. It condemned calling for deportations. I'm out of time. I just would point out that this organization that you're advisor of is part of the Tides Network, which is directly affiliated with George Soros and has gotten funding from USAID. So if you want to understand why people are so committed to making sure USAID doesn't fund these radical organizations, some of these statements are exhibits A, B, C, D through Z. Thank you, Madam Chair.
This one is, yes, it was still on crime.
Okay.
Now, it's clear from this hearing the Democrat talking points have come out. Both Senator Padilla and Senator Booker spent a great deal of time talking about, quote, red states. There's a reason they were talking about red states, because unfortunately, most red states have blue cities. And that's where the crime is. If you want to look at in 2023, the large cities with the most homicides per 100,000 people, number one was New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Number two was Memphis, Tennessee. Number three was St. Louis City. Number four was Baltimore City. Number five was Washington, D.C. Democrat crime policies kill people. Soros DAs who let murderers out of jail kill people. When you don't prosecute violent criminals, innocent victims die. Right here in Washington, D.C., in 2012, murders in D.C. totaled fewer than 100. By 2023, murders had nearly tripled, 274 lives taken in a single year. These are the real world consequences of Democrat crime policies that let murderers go.
We just went over these numbers, and it goes up. If you notice, it goes up to 2023, and then 2024, it's 189, and they're like, "It was a drop in murders. We reduced murders." It's like, "Oh, fuck yourself."
Yeah, they're like, well, what about this little part right here?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, what about this right here?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, look where the median line is. The median line's about, if you were to guess, probably about 180.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
even here, like decline, but that's a steady climb right there.
it's a steady climb, and even if it reduces, chances are it's going to be back up in the 200s. Like I said, like I was saying earlier in the episode, that's a positive slope up.
Yep.
But anyways.
It is very simple cause and effect. If you release murderers onto the street, they will kill people, and they do it all across the country. And we need to understand these are not just numbers. Here are some of the faces behind those numbers. Edward Corestein, 19, brutally assaulted during a carjacking attempt in D.C. Eric Tarpinian Jackham, 21, a young congressional intern gunned down in the capital city. Honesty Cheadle, 3 years old, just a toddler, killed by stray gunfire.
That's wild.
Sarah Lynn Milgram, 26, and Yaron Lachinsky, 30, Israeli embassy staffers newly in love on the verge of engagement, brutally murdered. Mike Gill, 56.
I mean, not for nothing, but on the verge of engagement, how do you really know that fact?
Yeah.
The verge of engagement, so like you got confirmation that he was going to propose eventually?
Yeah. He's like, I'll do it eventually.
Yeah.
A husband, father of 3, former Trump administration official, shot in cold blood during a D.C. carjacking rampage. These aren't just names. These are sons and daughters, husbands and wives, parents and grandchildren. Mrs. Cook, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the unbelievable pain and loss that you have endured through the loss of your grandson. I'm sorry that happened. Your grandson should have been protected. The city should have protected your grandson. He should still be alive. And tragically, this pattern keeps on happening. Now, Senator Booker also said we should have bipartisan agreement. I think that's a great idea. We should have bipartisan agreement. How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? How about we all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles? I want you to look at what happened when the National Guard
I think he meant to say, let's start attacking pedophiles.
I hope so.
I think that's what he meant, dude.
went to D.C. Robbery fell by 57%. Homicide fell by 58%. Sex abuse fell by 40%. Those are real results. And Detective Pemberton, if you would tell this committee what was the effect of the 2022 Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Law, and what would the benefit be for the people of D.C. if Congress passes my Clean D.C. Act?
Thank you, Senator Cruz, and thank you for introducing the Clean D.C. Act, which repeals the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Act. It is unquestionably one of the worst pieces of legislation, public safety legislation I've ever seen, and it has completely dismantled and destroyed the Metropolitan Police Department to the tune of more than 800 police officers short. It has eliminated their bargaining rights. It has eliminated their due process rights. It has changed the use of force policy so that facts unknown to officers can be used against them in charging them criminally. It exposes all of their personnel records to public databases. I could go on and on. It is an 86-page bill. Each subtitle in that bill is worse than the last, and it was designed to defund and destroy the police department. It was designed to hamstring police officers and make sure that criminals, even when convicted, would be protected from being held accountable. Repealing that bill is everything. It is the alpha and the omega of fixing criminal justice in the District of Columbia, and we must repeal that as soon as possible. This is what we have been shouting from the rooftops for 5 years. We knew it when we saw the language in the bill that it was going to be devastating. No one would listen to us. And thankfully now, thanks to your bill and Congressman Clyde's bill on the House side, we can actually get this bill repealed so we can get back to fixing the police department and bringing crime down permanently in the nation's capital.
And Detective Pemberton, you're the head of the D.C. Police Officers Union.
Yes, sir.
In your judgment, passing the Clean D.C. Act would make Washington, D.C. safer, would reduce murders, would reduce violent crime?
Permanently, yes, sir.
And I would point out again, Senator Booker, and it seems none of the Democrats are here now. Senator Booker said we should be bipartisan. I can think of few issues that are more natural for bipartisanship than stopping crime. It used to be the case. You know, this committee used to work together when it came to violent crime. It's only been in the last few years that elected Democrats have decided that releasing violent criminals is something to be celebrated. Earlier, Mr. Taylor made reference to Soros DAs. George Soros has spent millions of dollars electing DAs all over the country who turn around and let violent criminals go. The Democrat Party unleashed the crazy with the Abolish the Police movement. And the Abolish the Police movement wasn't just in the abstract. Cities all across the country slashed funding for police. Minneapolis slashed the funding for police. The NYPD cut its funding over $1 billion. Sadly, Austin, Texas cut the funding for its police $150 million. When you take police off the streets, people die. There's a direct cause and effect, but there are two ways to abolish the police. One is going after the police themselves, which Democrats have decided that is their party position. But the second way you abolish the police is you put in place Soros DAs who just won't charge anyone. That means the police cannot do their job because when they arrest a murderer, a Soros DA turns around and lets them go. When they arrest a carjacker, a Soros DA turns around and lets them go. And for the life of me, I do not understand why Democrats are not celebrating the reduction in crime. Go back to the reduction in crime in D.C. that we've seen with the guard on the ground. You should be cheering a 57% decrease in crime, robbery, a 58% decrease in homicide. There are people in D.C. alive because the guard is there, and not a single Democrat is saying, that's good. Not a single Democrat is saying, we're glad those people are alive. Instead, they're saying, take them off the street and let the murderers run free.
Senator,
That's not serving anybody.
Senator Hall, Frost,
That's right.
He is right.
Yeah, I mean, I was just listening today about how at an Antifa rally, there was just one journalist who got his phone stolen from Antifa. Antifa smashed it. And cops arrested him, charged him, and the judge just let him go. They dismissed everything. Like
That's
it wasn't
nuts.
worth it, you know. It's
That's
like, you know, it's like $1,000. If you have to buy a new phone,
Yeah,
it's malicious destruction of property.
big time.
And if anything, assault for fucking ripping it out of my hands.
Yep.
You know? Wild stuff. George Soros, that dude needs to die. He's too old.
So next we're moving on to Pam Bondi.
Okay.
She was called before Congress because they're indicting Comey, and now all the Democrats are crying that Trump's abusing his power. So this is her. These clips are mostly her in the hot seat with the Democrats. There's a couple of Republicans, because none of the Republicans were asking her like the hard hitting questions. You know. So it's a lot of her in the hot seat.
Okay, let's see how well she does.
But this first one is they point out that Republican senators during the Biden administration, the Biden's FBI tapped the phones of like many Republican senators.
Yeah, I mean, I think didn't Obama tap the phone of Trump?
I think so.
Didn't that get proven?
Yeah.
second document is a list of Republican groups and people that Arctic Frost targeted, including
this guy needs
Charlie
a nap.
Kirk's group.
This guy fucking. I was listening to this live, and he was the fucking the head of the committee. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, I'm like, this guy's putting me to sleep right now.
Turning Point USA. These documents show the political weaponization of the Biden administration
I
against
can smell
Republicans.
this
Senator
guy
Hawley.
through the fucking video.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Attorney
So true.
You know what I'm
General
saying?
Bondi,
Like,
good
I
to
know
see you.
exactly what he smells like.
Oh yeah.
to you. Welcome. I've been listening closely in this hearing, and I've heard over and over from my Democrat colleagues concerns about targeting political enemies, and they've accused you of all manner of things and the current president. I've also heard them said, and I just wrote it down because I wanted to be sure I heard it correctly. I've heard them say that Joe Biden never targeted his political enemies. Joe Biden never directed his attorney general to target his political opponents. That's interesting, because I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone. Let's look at it. We've got a list. Tapped my phone, tapped Lindsey Graham's phone, tapped Marsha Blackburn's phone, tapped 5 other phones of United States senators. Gee, it sure looks like targeting political opponents to me, and yet I haven't heard a word from that side of the dais about any concern whatsoever. We've got nothing but concerns today, but no concern at all for a Justice Department that is tapping the phones of sitting United States senators because who knows why. They don't like them. They're members of the opposition party. They're Republicans. They're conservatives. You've seen this document, Attorney General Bondi. What was going on here? Who ordered this? Who ordered the tapping of the phones of United States senators?
Senator Hawley, I cannot discuss the details of that right now for very good reason.
You're going to do a thorough investigation into this, I trust. Is that correct?
We will be looking at all aspects of this, and I have talked to Director Patel at length about
And
this.
you're going to figure out who was involved in this, who signed off on it, who knew about it. You're going to get to the bottom of all of it. Is it correct?
Yes, and I've spoken to Director Patel about it, and he is committed to doing this.
Well,
as
I can tell you, we already know many of the details. We already know that this was ordered by the special prosecutor, Jack Smith, who reported directly to the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland. And we know that Jack Smith was on his witch hunt because he was directed to do so by the President of the United States, Joe Biden. Let's just remember. Let's take a walk down memory lane. April 2nd, 2022, the New York Times. Garland faces growing pressure. The Times says as recently as late last year, that would have been 2021, Mr. Biden confided to his inner circle he believed former President Trump was a threat to democracy and should be prosecuted. It goes on to say that the Biden rather was frustrated with Garland and wanted him to take decisive action against Trump. Here's what we're talking about. Trump, of course, was a private citizen at the time. So he appoints his own hitman, Jack Smith, who goes after the president, former president, who goes after members of this body. You know, the thing about it, though, that really strikes me is that it didn't stop with members of the United States Senate. Did it, Attorney General Bondi? It didn't stop here at all. I mean, just as egregious, maybe more so than tapping the phones of U.S. senators, is this memo that I know you've seen before. Let's just look at it again. This is an FBI memo from the same time period, I might add, from the same time period, in which the Federal Bureau of Investigation attempts to recruit informants into Catholic parishes in this country. So here you have an administration that is activating the FBI against its political opponents and tapping the phones of United States senators. Can I just say that again for my colleagues, for the benefit of my colleagues on the other side of the dais? Tapping the phones of United States senators. This isn't hypothetical. This isn't maybe what will you do in the future. This isn't, oh, gee, can you imagine a situation? This happened. This happened. And this happened. The targeting of Catholics in this country because Joe Biden and his FBI didn't like Catholics who went to a certain kind of mass. I mean, good God in heaven, what is happening to this country? What happened under Joe Biden? Or then how about this? The infamous school board memo, where Merrick Garland, at the direction of the White House, issued a memo activating the FBI's counterterrorism division against parents who attended school board meetings and had the temerity to ask what their kids were being taught.
I remember that too.
And some of those parents were treated like this. Let's just remember. Let's remember how parents were treated. Treated like this man.
That's right.
A parent at a school board meeting, I think in Virginia, whose
daughter was like sexually assaulted by a trans boy or trans
Oh,
whatever.
was that loud and
drug
county?
out
Yeah, something like that.
of the school board meeting. He's bloodied there. You can see it. And what was the response of Joe Biden's DOJ and FBI? It was to issue a memorandum saying that people like this ought to be investigated by the counterterrorism unit. And
That's
unbelievably, they were. They were. Or how about this? Let's remember Mark Houck and the pro-lifers who were prosecuted for what? For going to a clinic, an abortion clinic, and praying on a sidewalk outside the abortion clinic. This is Mark Houck and his beautiful family at Mass. This man, at the direction of Joe Biden's FBI.
You got too many kids, bro. It's like, I get it, Christian family, you're supposed to have a family, but if all these are your kids, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You know what I'm saying? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kids.
This man had an FBI SWAT team come to his door in the early morning hours with his beautiful children there, terrorizing them with weapons drawn. He was then arrested and prosecuted. Unfortunately, a jury acquitted him. This is what was happening under Joe Biden. United States senators spied upon. Former presidents, the political opponents of the president at the time, targeted, prosecuted. Pro-lifers, targeted, prosecuted. Catholics, targeted, prosecuted. 92 conservative organizations put under surveillance, targeted for potential prosecution. Gee, I don't know. Would you call that an example of weaponization, Attorney General Bondi? Do you think that's a fair characterization?
Yes.
Senator Hawley, that is the ultimate weaponization. And weaponization under Donald Trump has ended. It has ended. Harmeet Dillon is running our civil rights unit, and she is doing an incredible job. No longer will parents be targeted. No longer will parents who care about whether their elementary school children have to read a transgender book be targeted and told they cannot have any say in their child's education. That has ended under this administration. People can worship freely, whether they're Catholics at synagogues or Muslims. Everyone can worship freely. That was the ultimate weaponization. They were targeting Catholics. No longer. They have been targeting so many American citizens throughout this country. And Senator Hawley, you have been a champion of this, and thank you for being a champion of that. But under Donald Trump's watch, it has ended.
You know, I think about some of the abuses of power in this country's history, and there's been sadly a lot of them by members of the executive branch over the years, whether it's Watergate, whether it's what J. Edgar Hoover did in his time at the FBI, spying on many public figures, RFK, MLK, JFK, you name it. And I just have to say, what we now know happened in the last 4 years under this administration surpasses all of that. It surpasses all of it, not just for the interference in the legislative branch, not just for the blatant disregard for the separation of powers, not just for the blatant disregard for the First Amendment, but for the targeting of ordinary American citizens who can't afford lawyers, who can't afford to mount a defense, who when the FBI knocks at their door or comes with the SWAT team, they don't know what to do. It is absolutely a disgrace. It is a stain on the history of this country and on the conscience of this country, what this administration did in the last 4 years. So here's what I think needs to happen. Madam Attorney General, I think we need a special prosecutor to be appointed whose sole responsibility will be to get to the bottom of what has happened in every instance that I have just named. I think we need to know exactly who approved the wiretaps on United States senators, who knew about it, what agents were involved at DOJ or the FBI. I think we need to know exactly who signed off on the Catholic memo, the spying memo, who was involved with it, how far did it go. I think we need to know exactly who authorized the prosecution of Mark Houck, who terrorized pro-lifers and tried to intimidate them. I think we need to know that, Mr. Chairman, this committee needs to do oversight hearings. We need to have thorough hearings into what has happened these last 4 years and this abuse that has now just been uncovered, because we have to ensure that it stops. As you just said, Attorney General Bondi, we have to ensure that it stops. This chapter in American history needs to come to a close, never to be opened again. The use of the most powerful law enforcement bodies in the world against ordinary citizens and political opponents must end once and for all. And we have a chance to do it, and it needs to be done with a thorough investigation, full transparency. And those who violated laws need to be prosecuted. I thank you for what you're doing, Attorney General Bondi. I hope that you will launch a thorough investigation. I hope you'll appoint a special prosecutor. Mr. Chairman, I hope we'll hold
nothing
hearings.
will happen.
And with that,
You don't think so?
No, nothing ever fucking happens.
We'll see, though.
Nobody ever goes to fucking jail.
Times are changing.
You know, I mean, I don't know. Some people go to jail. I mean, what? Paul Manafort went to jail. Trump's lawyer, what was his name? Cohen went to jail. And I mean, I am hearing whisperings of people going to jail that Trump's talking about. I think it was some people that work in the Chicago. I forget who he named. I don't know if he named the mayor, but for intentionally not helping ICE agents.
Really?
When they get attacked or something, you know, they're telling police to not respond to ICE agent calls if they need help.
Oh, I think I heard that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Hey, maybe people will go to jail. I fucking hope. Let's see what happens, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
I yield.